In a period of human history where everything is changing all the time, everything that we make is mutating into something else. That means that we are perpetual newbies, that we have to constantly be learning new things, oftentimes having to learn something new even before we've mastered the thing previously. This ongoing rush into things that are becoming is now the default position for everything that we are making and creating. One of the consequences of this constant state of change is that the most important inventions that will be shaping our lives even 10 years from now have not been invented yet. That means that that's a great opportunity for people who are making new things like yourselves, because there's a chance that you can make the thing that will become the dominant force even in 10 or 20 years from now. The idea of cognifying is that we're making things smarter. We are taking dumb things and making them have a little bit of intelligence, and we're taking smart things and making them even smarter. This intelligence is not really human-like. It's not at all like us. It's almost an alien intelligence. But it's artificial learning and artificial smartness that we can consume and employ almost like it was electricity. So anywhere electricity goes, this AI, this artificial smartness will go, and we can use it to make new things. So we'll take anything X and we'll add AI to it, and that is going to be the formula for the next 10,000 startups. Whatever business you're in, you're now in a data business. Whether you're in agriculture, transportation, media, of course, you're now dealing with bits. And those bits are flowing. And all this information about the data is itself creating new data about itself. So the information about your customers is almost as valuable as your customers themselves. And we are moving all these things towards this eternal, constant flow of becoming. Screen is about fluidity and ephemeral creativity. What we are doing is we are covering every flat surface with a screen. They're everywhere, and we don't watch them or read them, we screen them. The difference between the screen culture is that truth is not something that you read that's monumental or fixed. It is actually something you have to assemble from all the pieces yourself, so critical thinking is very essential. What the screen gives us is a very fast speed. We're moving at the speed that pixels flick on the glass, and that creates creativity at a speed that we've never experienced before. Our appetite for the instant is insatiable. And as we try to serve everything instantly, we are moving from owning things to accessing things. And that movement from ownership to access is driving the frontiers of the new economy. Take Uber, the largest taxi cab in the world, and it does not own any vehicles. Or take Airbnb, the largest lodging company in the world that owns no real estate. Or Facebook, the largest media company in the world that owns no content. These are indications that the benefits of owning have diminished and the virtues of accessing things anywhere, anytime that we want to are becoming paramount. So we are moving from ownership to access. We think that our lives are already overshared, that sharing is already too ubiquitous in our culture, but in fact we have not yet begun to share. In fact, most of the key innovations in the next 20 years will be built on our ability to share at a scale that we have not shared at before, almost at a planetary scale. And anything that we can imagine right now that we are doing will be shared under the right conditions. And that sharing generally produces new value and new wealth. This sharing will be so valuable that I believe that by 2050, the largest companies in the world will be built on the ability to share things in ways that we don't right now at a scale that we find unimaginable at the moment. We are at the moment where we are just completely flooded by options and opportunities. Every year there's 60 million new songs created, there's innumerable books, and we have to figure out some way to filter all that good stuff. And we have to find ways to personalize it so that we are only dealing with the stuff that is right for us. What we all want is to be treated as individuals, to be treated personally rather than as a generic number. And that requires great amounts of filtering and technologies that will distinguish and discriminate in our favor. That technology doesn't really exist right now, but that is a major frontier in the coming 20 years. And being able to do that will be extremely valuable to those who know how, because it is the only way that we are going to be able to enjoy the abundance that we have coming. Remixing is actually the fundamental element of how we get wealth in an economy. We take existing technologies and we unbundle them into the parts and we recombine them in many ways. There's very little that's actually new. Most of what we experience today has been recombined, remixed from existing parts. We're doing the same thing with media and the rest of the economy of taking things, unbundling them into their pieces and recombining them in new ways. And we can look forward to many new genres many new media made up of the unbundled parts of the existing media, recombined in new ways. And there's almost nothing that cannot be unbundled and then rebundled. And that is the great opportunity that we have before us. And that's where our true creativity genius is going to shine. Basically, if something doesn't interact with us, it's broken. Interaction is the fundamental verb that we desire in all the things that we are creating. And we are increasing the ways that we can interact with the things that we make through VR, virtual reality. Virtual reality is going to transform our internet of information into an internet of experiences. And it's creating presence and immersion, a sense of being there, and experiencing things that we previously only read about or heard about. That new emphasis on experiences is the new value in a world where things can be copied very easily. Therefore, this new way of interacting with our technology by immersing ourselves into it is going to become a fundamental new platform in the next 20 years. Anything that can be tracked will be tracked. Just as anything that can be copied will be copied on the internet. Anything that we can measure will be measured. And tracking becomes ubiquitous and the norm. We will track ourselves with the quantified self technology. We'll track our friends with our iPhone cameras. Companies will track us. Governments will track us. We can't escape tracking. What we can do about it is to civilize it and make it symmetrical. So we have a covalence where we are tracking those who watch us, and we know what they do with us, and we get benefits from the tracking. What tracking gives us is a way to personalize all the experiences that we have. We can't do that unless we track. And when we track, we're able to deliver extremely personalized services and goods to everybody. A central element of where we're going to in the next 20 years is moving from a world where answers are free. We can get great, correct, accurate answers by asking our digital assistant, by giving a query into Google. The answers come at 1 billion times a day. They're correct answers, and so they essentially become free. What becomes valuable then are questions, a really good question. And forming a really good question is very difficult, and that is actually the purpose of a lot of the exercises and training that we do to be creative, is learning how to ask really good questions. Robots are not going to ask questions, they're going to give us answers, and what creativity is good for is learning how to craft a really good question. We are just at the beginning of things. When we look back in 20 years from now or longer, we'll understand that we didn't even have the internet yet. It is just at the infancy stage. We are now making the things that are going to grow at a planetary scale. We're taking 7 billion people and 6 quadrillion processors and all the machines of the world, and we're knitting them together into one big thing. And out of that big thing is coming experiences, contraptions, services, products at a scale that were not possible before. The most important things in 20 years from now have not even begun yet. We are at the beginning of the beginning.